Hey, what up, y'all? This is Chris from Phresh Salon. I'm back with another haircut tutorial. So we're going to start off with the wall balding clippers. As you know, I always use these to do my initial guideline for my skin fades. And we're going to go backhand it all the way around. I wasn't a big fan of the backhand, but now that my clippers are more zero gapped, I feel like I don't have a problem blending it out. So to get a nice even lineup, I like to backhand it and then just clean up all the bottom when everything is done. By doing this, it saves a lot of time with my T-blades. Here we got the Braun 9 series. My boy San got these, and these are wicked. I like using these. It's a little better than the ones I used to use. I feel like it blends it out without leaving any lines and stuff that I have to re-blend out. So we're gonna go ahead with the Wall Seniors cordless that we just got, and I'm gonna use the number 3 against the grain. Right now we're just debulking and kind of blending it into the top, getting ready for our fade. So I'm gonna go ahead with the 1.5 and go against the grain. And this one is just basically looking at where I'm gonna start my fade. I like to go from the steps kind of backwards. Now I got the number 1 guard. I think it's open right now, and I'm going against the grain as well. We're slowly creating our line for our fade. Everything is building up to our fade. So this is the transition areas, and you can take your time. Right now it's speeded up about 2.5 times, just so it's not as lengthy for you guys, because I know how it is watching a lot of videos and you don't want to waste too much time. So we're going ahead. Right now, this is where the detail part comes in. You need to really focus when you're doing this part. And as you can see, I go certain different areas, different directions with this clipper. I like to use what I call an X-type motion. And I go against the grain, vertical and horizontal. Not horizontal, just vertical. And then I'll go in an X-type, so left, right, going up and down. So it helps with the patterning, because a lot of hairs go different directions, and this really helps when you're doing that kind of stuff. So the detail part of this particular section is very important. So we're going to do the same thing on the left side now. So we're going to start off with the number 3 guard again, do the same thing, debulk, blend it to the top, and just keep going against the grain. Go back and forth. If you feel like it needs a little more work, go back to that section. Try not to take out too much of that bangs part, because you're going to need that when you're transitioning the top. Now we're going ahead with a number 1.5 guard against the grain as well. Same thing, same process as the right side, but the left side it's a little different in terms of the direction of how his hair is growing. It's going slightly to the front. The other side is going slightly to the well, it's going to the front as well, but it's going more downwards. So you got to really make sure that you understand the angles and you work your way against it, and you continue to try to find a way that's going to help you blending in much more efficiently. So now I'm using the no guard, and I'm going against the grain as well. When you're dealing with straight hair, I guess I don't have to really say this, but you typically go against the grain, as opposed to when you're doing curly hair, you're going against the grain and with the grain, depending on the type of cut. So like I said, this is the most important part when it comes to detailing. You want to go in the vertical motion, and you want to do X-type motions as well, just to get those as blended as possible. You don't want to see any lines and none of that. The best fades look like there's no transition lines whatsoever. I know this sounds pretty simple, but many people that are starting off, or that have been cutting hair for a long time, find this section very difficult. So if you could do this, and you could do this well, you're on the top part of guys that can fade hair in the industry. So we're gonna continue. We're going against the grain now. I'm going back. I did have my 1. So sometimes I do a lot of detailed work. So while I'm cutting and I see something You know, I tend to go back and forth. Depends on how I feel. Sometimes I continue with the same clip, but sometimes I go back, my number one, take it off, you know, play with the lever a little bit. And it's just, you got to just find yourself, find your rhythm, find your, you know, what works for you. And what works for me may not work for you, you know, but I'm just showing you a different side of what you may already know, a different venue, a different avenue. And you might be able to use this and learn from it, or you can continue doing what you're doing now. But everybody has their own views on things. Since I've been cutting hair, I mean, I find I changed up the way I do my steps. You know, I used to start from the bottom and work my way to the top. Now I start from the top and work my way back to the bottom. I find it helps with my blending process. It makes it a lot more easier to blend at least most of the last portions of my fading process. You know, I do a lot of flicking, so it just kind of flicks right into it. And you can take your time with this part. This is going to be your longest step. Your no guard to one guard is the hardest part of this haircut. Everything else is just to set you up for this part. Now, as you can see, I'm just touching up the blade a little bit while I have the clippers. Just blend your blade in, and the sideburn portion, and I'm taking it down with a 1.5. He just wants to trim it down a little bit, so the 1.5 will work against the grain. You know, it's the beards they get tricky. It's not always just everything is straight, especially when you come to guys with curly hair or guys with, it's usually completely different on both sides, and it could be a challenge. So you just got to do your best to work around how the client's hair follicles are growing. Here we got the Andis T outliners once again. They're back in action. I've been using these. They're really good. I don't feel like they sacrifice a lot of quality from the previous Andis T liners. The originals, been around for decades, still going strong, haven't changed much, and I don't think they have to. The only thing that I would recommend is trying to cool it down a little bit if that's possible, you know. But apart from that, they hit, you know, very strong, very durable, you know. So, and just keep doing what you're doing. That's usually my go-to. So the front of his hair has a little bit of hair sticking out. And some clients, they don't want you to cut this. Sometimes I won't, but I think that for this particular haircut, there's not a lot of those little baby hairs sticking out. So I just cleaned it up a little bit. I didn't have to get too detailed, but make it look fresh, sharp, clean it up. I use my comb and hold it back and comb it down a little bit. As you can see, you know, every hair is different. Like I said, you know, see here, the hair is going kind of to the right, so you got to work with it. Something about these YouTube videos, it takes me out of my normal element, because I always have to be watching my shoulders and seeing if the camera's capturing certain angles. A lot of times I have to be in a squatting position just so I'm not blocking the view. So it does take a little longer than usual. For those that never recorded videos and you ever tried it, you'll know that it's an interesting process, you know, and I wish I can get better angles, but I haven't quite figured it out just yet. And I'm just starting, so a lot of the videos that I shot, I never really finished. So this year, I promised myself that I'm gonna post more videos and have more content out there for you guys and continue getting better. Like I said, there's always something that somebody can learn. Not all my videos are gonna be perfect. Not all your haircuts or my haircuts will be perfect, but the trick is to continue getting better and learn from your mistakes. You know, a lot of videos that I posted, I didn't notice some of the mistakes until after I reviewed the videos and I looked and said, oh my goodness, what did I do? You know, but you know, that happens, you know. So next time I see where can I make this better? As much as you can step back and look at the mirror, and you know, the further away you go, the more imperfections that you notice. I think that's a good way of judging if there's some work that you need to be doing in terms of the blending or transitioning or the top, the texture, whatever it is. I feel like the further back you go, the more that helps. So I do continue to tell, you know, my colleagues and y'all that you need to double check your work. But when you're looking at an angle that this camera's looking at, it's not the same angle I'm looking at. I'm a little taller, so it's looking straight and it's seeing all imperfections. So a lot of the things that it's catching, I'm not necessarily seeing as well. This is a scissors over comb technique. This is just to kind of finalize things. Alright, so this is it. This is the haircut. My boy Jashan, shout out to you, man. Thanks for making this video happen. You know, I take any opportunity I can to make a video. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Let me know what you think. You know, if there's anything I can improve on that makes my channel better. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. Hit that like button. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Stay fresh.